Aloha, hey, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii with Real Broker, and I am here to give you guys the August update with some July too. And it's kind of like a summer trend report, and we've got some amazing people here today. We've got Travis Green from Guild Mortgage, Dual Wave. We've got Andy Madrid from Real Broker. We've got Jana Mahoney from KW, and Nui Browning, Real Broker as well, from East Hawaii. And then we've got Delania Branham from Real Broker. And Eric Ziemelis is the trees in the back. His face is showing up right there, Eric Ziemelis. There we go. So because we're where we are today, I think money matters. And I'm going to suggest that Travis take us away with the mortgage update and telling us what's going on with the general economy and how that's going to affect you if you're looking for money to buy a home. So go for it, Travis.
Mortgage rates are at multi-month lows right now. Lowest they've been this year, lowest they've been in about 10 months for your typical borrower. And a lot of this is still just because of the jobs report that we got at the beginning of August. It was a couple days after the last Fed meeting in July. This jobs report came out, and it wasn't so much the current jobs activity that really kind of kicked things off for rates to go lower, but it was the revisions to the previous month. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics puts out their non-farm payrolls report, and then each month of data gets at least two revisions as they go. And so they're always releasing revised data with their current releases, but this was a particularly large revision. And so basically it was a revision lower of 258,000 jobs for like May and June. And so it was showing that in May and June, the economy had added like 13,000 one month and like 19,000 the next month or something. And so the current replacement rate for jobs, for things to kind of just remain in equilibrium, is about 80,000 ish new jobs. And so if we're adding fewer jobs than that each month, that's evidence that the labor market is contracting. And so this was significant because Jerome Powell had said in his press availability after the last Fed meeting that they're watching inflation, but the labor market still appears very strong. And if that changes, it'll alter their outlook. And then 2 days later, boom, labor market looks a lot weaker than it had. And so bonds rallied in response, and interest rates moved lower. And when I say lower, it's like we were right up around 7%, like we've been. Mm-hmm. And then they've gradually ticked lower. The average borrower for a 30-year fixed mortgage right now is going to be closer to 6.5% than they are to 7%. And that's for conventional. For VA and FHA and things like that, it's going to be even lower. Maybe even closer to 6% or high fives or something. And so really, really good. And so what's important to note is that the Fed hasn't done anything. They haven't cut their Fed funds rate because that's not directly tied to mortgage rates. But the expectation is that we're going to be entering a cutting cycle soon because it seems like the labor market is weakening. And so what's really been happening to improve mortgage rates is two things. So the 10-year treasury has moved lower from, say 4.5 to about 4.2. And the what's called the mortgage spread, which is the difference between the 10-year treasury and a 30-year mortgage rate, has shrunk a little bit. And so we've, since the kind of 2022 Fed rate hike, interest rate increase cycle, we've seen bigger than normal mortgage spreads. And so hopefully that's finally kind of normalizing. There's still room for that to go. So even if nothing happens with the Fed and or the 10-year Treasury yield. If mortgage rates continue to improve, we could still see just improved rates just from that, even if the 10-year Treasury is flat and the Fed funds rate stays flat. They are expected to cut, maybe at their next meeting, a quarter point. There's like an 82% probability, according to the Fed futures market, somewhere around there. But that's the expectation. And so as a result, purchase application data is starting to tick up. People are starting to blow the dust off of their 8-month-old pre-approvals and say, let's take another crack at it. And so, yeah, so it's good news. There's a lot of other like kind of drama happening with the Fed and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but that's the assessment on rates. And maybe if we have time later, I'm happy to answer questions about the other components.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so you're feeling optimistic.
I'm feeling I'm happy about the direction of rates. I don't know how optimistic I feel.
Okay. And then just to throw this out at you, you probably aren't expecting this one. How do you feel the economy is going to go for the next 2 or 3 months, Travis?
So I don't know, obviously, but I think that there still could be some inflation that hasn't registered yet, especially in consumer, in like retail goods, that had largely been absorbed by importers until now. But the latest producer price index, which has to do with wholesalers and domestic producers, shows an increase in their prices. And so there's indications that these prices are starting to get passed on to consumers. We also just hit India with a 50% tariff. So I don't know. That's also causing, people think that it's causing the distortion in like the labor market, right? So we saw hiring really hit the brakes after the April tariff announcements. And that makes sense. If companies feel very uncertain about the near and medium term, you might pause on hiring a whole bunch of people, see what plays out, right? And so now that the tariffs are in place, there's more certainty in the system, in the sense that like we think we know what the tariff rates are going to be, but there is the Trump fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics for that jobs report, and is trying to fire a sitting Fed governor, which has not happened. And that's also significant because, the Federal Reserve, they have another meeting coming up on September 16th. And so it's just, if the bond market starts to believe that, the Federal Reserve has lost its independence, and that it's basically an at the pleasure of whoever's president kind of deal, we could see long-term rates increase just because of that. Because that throws U.S. monetary policy into question for the long term. But who knows?
Can I ask a question too?
Yeah.
Thanks. I kind of worked this out in my head. Okay, so the labor market was not as strong as we thought, and then you said that the bond market rallied after that, and but that the 10-year Treasury went down. Did I hear that correctly? Because that doesn't seem to get okay. That doesn't. If I'm doing my economic circle here,
why
did that happen?
So bond prices move inversely to the rate, right? So if bonds rally, it pushes yields lower, which pushes rates lower.
Oh yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Good question.
The good news is that I've heard the Fed governor, it says, "Screw you! I'm not resigning. I'm going to sue you instead." So we like,
she filed a lawsuit. It got assigned to a federal judge. It'll get appealed. the federal judge it got assigned to is probably going to say, yeah, the law says you can only be removed for cause. This is an allegation.
Mm.
Cause is understood to be like proof. So she'll probably. My guess is she'll probably win her suit. It'll get appealed, and then it'll go up to the Supreme Court, and it'll be up to the Supreme Court to decide. Essentially, our Fed governors, our members of the Federal Reserve and regional bank heads, truly independent, or can the president remove and replace them at will? So
And
that's
the
what's going to be
question.
decided.
Yeah. Well, the
And
drama,
hopefully,
drama.
hopefully the Fed. It's important. Fed independence is very important.
Mhm.
That's like a nonpartisan thing.
Mhm.
That's just economics. Fed independence is important, and hopefully that gets decided quickly
Yeah.
before the next meeting, so there's no ambiguity.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with East Way with our market updates. And so, Nui, are you ready to wow people with your great information?
Okay. So Julie, I do have the MLS open in front of me if you want me to do more up to date.
Okay.
I oh,
Okay, and
you
then
want me to
and
do
for the people who are watching, we usually do this a week ago. Like we shipped out like it's usually the third week of the year of the month, but now it's the fourth week. So I wanted to be a little bit more up to date than giving you guys July numbers. And so Nui has an opportunity to do that if by reading it off the internet right now from the multiple listing service.
live hot off the presses. Okay, so right now in East Hawaii, my desk is moving.
Earthquake.
I didn't lock it, and all of a sudden it started going up. Sorry. Okay, start over. So there right now in East Hawaii, there are 89 active listings. Last month well, when I checked at the beginning of the month, there were 99, so that means 10 sold since the beginning of the month. And the price ranges are 240 to 23 million. The home that's 240, I believe, I want to say it's Hawaiian homeland, so it's a leasehold property. So I feel like that doesn't,
Count.
it's not really, yeah, I mean, only certain people can qualify for that. The next one is 268, and that one is just partial ownership. So that's really misleading as well, as far as the lowest price. So then the next one up from that is another leasehold for 300. Oh, lots of Hawaiian homelands actually. And so I think this is going to be the most accurate one, is 460 is the lowest. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,200 square feet, needs total renovation. Yeah, like so. And then on the high end, we still have that $23 million one. That's on like 52 acres, and it's a 9,000 square foot house with just I think that there's like a mile of ocean front or something. There's a lot of ocean frontage at this property. So that one's 23 million. So we have quite a large price range in Hilo for actives. Okay, so we'll move on to the solds for August so far. Let's see, just have to refresh the screen. Okay, so on the low end, there was 18 that sold from 1st of August till today, and on the low end was 459,500, and at the high end 1.72. The low end was it actually sold above asking price. The original ask price was 459,500, and it sold for 470. Is that what I said? Or
Yeah.
anyway,
So
yeah.
what's
Okay.
the median price and what's going on with that? Is it going up or down?
Um, the median sold pri oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that about the actives. I can go back and do that. Right now the median sold price is 772. Um, yeah, that's up actually.
Yeah.
I'm just like, because it's up quite a bit. Because last month I want to say it was in this
Six.
600.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, 612. So it's up. Oh, sorry, 579. But you know what? I feel like it's hard sometimes because I feel like the true median is somewhere in the 600s. So there's probably some. We probably had, yeah, we had like three above a million that sold, and then a bunch in the nine or a couple in the 900s, and then a bunch in the eights. So th those are not, that's not really normal. So a lot of the
Yeah, but
higher
Lance would
end,
say, but that's the market. So
well, I mean, it's the market since the beginning of August
yeah.
till now.
Yeah.
But you know, the month in, wait, are we? Yeah, we're in August. Like, what month is it? July. July, it was a lot lower. But also in July, I think we talked about this at the beginning of the month, Julie, that I had been seeing a lot more homes around 500 and below 600 on the market than I had been seeing in previous months. And so I think that's part of why July's month was below 600.
Mhm.
And now it's the opposite. There's the more high-end ones are selling, and so yeah, that's interesting. So the median is up quite a bit, and the average days on market for sold so far this month is 48. Um, and then things are selling average 97% in Hilo.
Okay.
So that's up from the current asking price, from the price, the last price that it was listed at. That's for sold in Hilo. Did you want me to go back and do the active median price for Hilo? I forgot to tell you that. I knew I was forgetting something. So active median price is 775 also.
Okay. So there you go.
So
So just more expensive houses are being sold in August than they were in July.
yeah, it's so interesting. I still do see a lot of 500 homes between like below 500. So 460, they start around 460, but then there's quite a few under 600, which hasn't been the case, up until around June or July. There weren't many under 600. It was really hard to find, and now there's quite a bit of them. And then there's quite a bit under 700 as well. I do have somebody looking in the high fives right now, and there are some good options actually where we've been talking about this a lot. There weren't any good options under 600, and now there seem to be more like livable, you won't really have to do too much to it type of options under 600. So
That's great. That's great.
yeah. So
And then
that's
what's
cool.
happening in Pune?
Yeah. Let me do this 1 second. It's just refreshing. Um,
And
okay.
while it's refreshing, Nui, I have a listing in Orchid Land that's 3 bedroom, 2 bath for 525. That is super cute. Super cute.
Oh, what I'm gonna have to look at that. Okay. Um,
She'd love
oh.
some help selling it, is what she's trying to say.
Yeah, I'm like I was like, when I can pull it up and talk about it if you
No,
want.
no, no. Keep going.
Okay. So there's 382 listings in Pune right now. So Pune, I always say is as big as Oahu, so it's a very large area. So it makes sense that there's so many listings in Puna. Last month there were about the same. I think there was 383 active. And the median in Puna right now is 407,000. Let's see. The low end is 24,000, the lowest listing. And that's that same house or cabin thing that I have mentioned it for a couple of months now that it's kind of sitting. It's like a little cabin on 8,000 square feet in Nana Valley. So that's Lava Zone 2. And then on the high end, we have 1.880. And I think that if I remember that correctly, that one's in HPP or maybe that one was in, I'm gonna tell you right now. No, it's Opihikau Road, which is also Lava Zone 2. And that is the house, that is the property that has 3 homes on it and a in-ground pool. So it's really decked out. It has solar, a ton of solar panels on 5 acres. And so yeah, that one's on the high end. The reason I'm saying that's in Lava Zone 2 and it's the highest priced one is that Lava Zone 2 is hard to get insurance on. So this listing is beautiful, but it's
You
going to
can
be
cash.
harder.
And then you're going to pay a
Well,
fortune for insurance.
yeah, yes, yeah. Okay, so we'll move along to the solds now. Also, Lava Zone 2, you know, there's a cap on the insurance. So it's 450 and anything above that, you're pretty much self-insuring. So there's also that
Yeah.
part. So yeah, you would need cash for that. Okay, so sold listings. There were 66 that sold in Puna last month. The lowest priced one was $89,000 and the highest priced was $799. The actually it sold for 75,000, sorry, and then the highest price was 775. The average days on market was 73 and the sales to current price ratio is about 97.5%. So 2.5% off.
Yeah. So it's not, there's no raging sales right now in East Hawaii. So,
No, I don't I feel like there never really is in East Hawaii. Because I mean we have nice prices.
yeah. Okay, then.
Prices are
Um,
fine.
okay, so speaking of nice prices, let's see what's going on over in South Hawaii with Andy, because that kind of gives us an idea too of are people still flocking to, you know, HOVE and South, you know, of the island. So let's highlight Mr. Andy here. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Give us the story, man.
But now I got to figure out what happened to all you people. All of a sudden, oh, there we are. Sudden the screen disappeared. It's back. So I normally talk about Hove and the ranchos first, but I'm going to start with the South Point because it's a little bit more interesting. So South Point is Discovery Harbor, which we've talked about before. There's a couple of neighborhoods called Green Sands Subdivision and Mark Twain Estates down there. And so looking at like last year versus this year, in terms of pricing down there, where things are at. So last year, let me go back in my notes here. So this year, there are 26 properties on the market today, priced between 149 and 1,000 and 999,000. So obviously there is a component of unpermitted properties, but the price point to get into a permitted home, you're about $250,000. So when people see, oh, I look at that property, it's online for 99,000. Can I get a loan? No. Not we tell people. If
Sorry.
if you're looking at financing, you need to be looking about 250 because everything else is going to be condition or just not permitted. And the average price is 544,000 between this 4,544, 438, 134 days on market.
Well,
Pending right now, we have 200 contracts. This is yeah. So I was talking about August. I didn't go back earlier because I want to try to keep it
yeah,
all.
fresh. Yeah.
Pending sales, we have two. One's 420, one's 519. Those are both in the Discovery Harbor subdivision. 469,000 is the average sales price with 40 days on market.
Okay.
There were two sold, one for 439 and one for 475. So the average is 457,000. 34 days on market is sold. Interestingly enough, compared to 2004, the sales price to list price ratio during 2004, where there were
224 or 2004?
2024,
Okay. Like,
between 2024 and 2025. So in 2024, for the month of August, there were five sales compared to the two right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's unlikely we'll get another one closed by the end of the month. The sales price to list price ratio for 2024 during the month of August was 97.03%. So they're not getting a screaming deal.
right.
But this year it's
Yeah.
90.35%. So it's actually up a little bit, not quite a full percent, but what is that? From 0.03 to 0.35. So a little bit. Days on market was longer. This year, I'm sorry, days on market last year was more, 70 days on market during the month of August last year compared to 34 days on market for August this year.
Yeah.
So the sales price is a little bit better. I mean, the sales price to list price ratio is higher
Yeah.
compared to 2024.
And
And
what
then
about land? I still have that listing that I'm trying to get rid of in it's Discovery Harbor. It's a beautiful piece of land. Anybody who's thinking about buying land in Discovery Harbor, it's only $97,000.
yeah, land is actually interesting. So when I looked at land overall in Ka'u
Mhm.
between 2024 and 2025, we sold 246 parcels of land during 2024. Right now we're at 193.
Okay.
Prices are down.
Okay.
Overall, the median price is down about $3,000 at 22,000
Mm.
compared to 25,000 during 2024. And the volume, 8.7 million during 2025 for land sales versus 10.7 for 2024. But residential is up quite a bit. We have 99 sales of residential homes in Ka'u, which would be Ocean View, the Ranchos, all of those, Kulakai View Estates, Kona Garden, the South Point area, Discovery Harbor, and all that. 99 properties have sold year to date versus 94 last year. And the median price overall was 345,000 versus 332,000 in 2024. So home prices are up a little bit, not substantially, but we are seeing, improvement. When you look at land specifically um, in Kau, we have 68 parcels of land for sale right now today.
Mhm.
And we have 13 properties that are pending and 8 that have sold during the month of August. $51,000 I'm sorry, strike all that. I said land, I meant residential. So 68 properties, residential properties currently for sale, 13 pending, and 8 have sold between 51,000 and 620,000, with an average of 271,000 and a days on market of 143,
Hmm.
compared to 2024 for the month of August. The days on market was only 67, so we're virtually double, actually a little bit more than double the days on market. Um, the um, but the average sales price ratio between August 2024 and August 2025 is virtually identical, 94.41% for 2024 and 95.41% in 2024 versus 95.39% in 2025. But our average price is higher in 2025 than it was in 2024
Hmm.
by $6,000. Days on market's longer, but so yeah, I mean there are slight improvements in the market this year over last year.
Yeah. For
Um,
quote inexpensive housing.
yeah, for inexpensive your land right now there are 204 parcels for sale. I think that seems to be about average. I think the lowest I've ever seen is about 178, and I've seen as high as 300. So
So in the middle.
we've got 204 parcels of land, priced between 9,400 bucks and 325,000. The ones at 325,000, there's two of them. They're pretty unique properties, like 7 point something acres apiece,
Mhm.
in an area down here in Kau that rarely sees property come up for sale.
Oh,
But our average, so that's a little bit of an anomaly. There are 37 properties that are pending between $6,000 and $75,000. So the $75,000 takes into account those Discovery Harbor vacant parcels. So when you're sitting in the 90s, you're never going to get it. I mean,
mm,
for typical, it's just a hard number to get to because, price points in that neighborhood are starting in the high 50s and 60s, and that's typical.
mm.
So it's got to be a really special property. It's got to have a view.
I think mine has a view.
And I think particularly for that particular property, I think there's things we could do with it.
Yeah.
Combination of, you know, giving potential consumers a vision of what they could do with it,
Yeah.
and also having a conversation with a seller about let's talk about real pricing down
Yeah.
there today.
He's gonna watch this, Andy. So
And I'd say add that conversation. It's not an easy conversation to have with
no,
sellers. Right?
no.
They
And
want
also
to
people, I think across the board, it seems, of course, sellers in America, they have a certain idea what they think their house is worth. And, we're having a softening market, I think, in general, in most places. And you guys, like both you and Nui, have shown that it's not softening like exponentially, but it is a little bit. So,
No, I had a conversation with a seller, with a buyer today, and I was like, look, they're like, well, what do you think we should offer? And I'm like, let's have a conversation. I can show you what the median sales price is. I can show you what sellers are getting for the property. So don't think like an investor, think you're going to swoop in and lowball some property and pick it up for, 40 cents on the dollar. You're not,
no, I don't think sellers, I keep hearing sellers saying, I'm not taking low ball. I'd rather take it off the market than have to deal with low ball
Yeah,
offers.
I mean, I've had a couple of those, but I think more sellers, at least down here, more sellers are getting realistic on their price. They're trying
Yeah.
to get creative. We're seeing more seller financing for both land and houses. I've got a couple of them right now where sellers, they want a price that's, it's a premium price point,
Mhm.
but there are buyers that are willing to pay it because they're understanding that, seller financing can be really attractive. And quite frankly, I don't have any sellers saying, well, the market says, market rate, if I go to the bank today, it's like Travis, like what's the typical rate seller with stellar credit's going to get? 6 point something, right? You know,
Hmm.
I have sellers that are offering 5.5.
Hey, that's good. Okay.
I have a lot of sellers that are offering 5.5
Okay.
on owner financing for 5 years. That gives the buyer a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's better money than the seller's going to make anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So if anyone's
when
out there looking for some opportunity, talk to Andy about those opportunities with seller financing.
either reaching out to agents that don't advertise, I'm like, hey, I've got buyers with cash. They can't get it all together. And your property's unique. It's off grid. it might have it might have a component that makes it more difficult to finance. Let's see if we can make it work. I'm having a lot more of those conversations. But land, um, 12 parcels of land have sold in 2025 with a 90.55% sales price to list price ratio. In 2024, they were getting 89.04%. They're getting better price. They're getting closer to their asking price.
Mm-hmm.
And prices last year in the month of August, there were 22 sales between 8,000 and 95,000. This year there are 12. Right now there are 12 sales between 9,000 and 31,000. So, there's always going to be that one particular property that sold, yeah, high, that kind of skews the whole number. We got to
Right.
take all those out. Let's find like get rid of the stuff that got some crazy anomalous price. I always try to filter out the stuff that wasn't an arm's length transaction. There was something else crazy about it that was that.
Like Nui's $24 million property in Hilo.
Yeah, yeah. But a $33 million property somewhere down there. I think I looked at it online and sent it to a couple of people.
Hey. Okay, cool. Okay. So in general, is your phone ringing?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I field calls every day
Yeah.
from
Okay.
buyers and sellers. I've got, I just closed a Kona property for 1.14.
Hey, congratulations.
It was good. We got a decent concession from the seller
Hmm.
because they didn't replace a section of the roof. And in their pre-listing disclosure, they were told to replace the section of the roof. You're going to get it. You're going to
And
deal
then
with
you're
it.
negotiating.
Yeah, we got a concession up. So there's that. I've got buyers right now. They're in the $3 million price point range. They're looking right now. And some of them are partially financing those. There's always cash, that deal that closed in Kona day before yesterday, Thursday yesterday, was cash.
Yeah. Yeah, that's still happening out there too. I forgot to ask Travis, but I think he said that his phones have been ringing with people coming in now too. I think he said that's right. So that's good. It means at least, hey, there's some activity coming up through the market. Okay, so let's do Jana. Oh, and okay, so how are we doing so Delania, how are you feeling right now? Do you want to do it or do you want to? You're okay. How about Delania? Because she also has a small child going through dance classes. So let's bring you up. Hold on.
All right, thank you. Yes, I am working.
Okay.
Bear with me. I'm on my laptop in my car, so
Okay.
hopefully this is going to come through smooth. So I did June and July because next month I want to look at August as a standalone, but we are doing our 3 target neighborhoods. First one is Pualani Estates, which, as a refresher, very popular neighborhood, central to Kona. Newer-ish homes, very, it's a planned neighborhood. So there's 3 or 4 different, floor plans, very similar homes. And we've been watching these 3 neighborhoods for several years now. So we have some fun data. So going back to June and July, currently there are 2 active listings in Pualani Estates. One is listed for $1,050,000. It's been on the market 174 days, and they've done a total of $235,000 in price reductions.
Wow.
This one does have a pool, which makes it a little bit more unique for the neighborhood, but still they shot for the stars, and they're sitting, and so they've come down quite a bit. The other one that just came on the market 3 days ago is also listed for $1,050,000. So that'll be some interesting competition between the 2 of those. There are 2 listings under contract in that neighborhood. One currently listed, and most of these have had price reductions going down to this, but it's currently listed at $999,900. That was after a $150,000 price reduction,
Wow.
and it was on the market for 21 days before they went under contract. So this is the trend. A lot of sellers are listing higher and just kind of with a wait and see attitude, and then chipping away at the prices and then selling under, sometimes even after that. The other one currently under contract, listed for $1,075,000. They also had a $50,000 price reduction, and they went under contract after 131 days. There are currently 3 sold over the course of June and July. I did not do August. So of the 3 sold, one was listed for $699, which is crazy low for that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Sold for $730. It was sold before print, so there's really no details, no pictures, nothing. It had to have been a foreclosure with some other
Yeah,
extenuating factors because that's
Yeah.
like wildly low. So that's kind of an anomaly. But the other 2 both sold for under $1 million, which is interesting because I looked back at April, May, June, and July. So for the last 4 months, nothing is sold for over $1 million in that neighborhood, which previously
It was
things
going
were
up and
selling
up and
over $1
up.
million, under $1
Yeah.
million. But yeah, we would have at least one listing a month that sold for over $1 million. So for 4 months, everything's under. Of those other 2 sales, one sold for $923, 71 days on the market, $42,000 under asking price. The other one sold for $950,000, 49 days in the market, $25,000 under asking price. So very few that we're seeing that sell right away and sell at or over asking price. So note to sellers.
No to
And then the next,
buyers. Ask for
yeah, well, both.
ask for less.
Go shopping. Sellers be realistic and buyers go shopping, Yeah, there's a lot of negotiation to be done. So going into Poolani Estates, this is another interesting one because previously,
You mean
so looking back
Makani-
February and March,
was that the one you just did was not
I'm sorry,
Yeah. So you mean Lakai
that was Poolani. Sorry, this is Ali Ilani. So we're
Ali
doing
Ilani.
condos. This is
Okay.
Ali Ilani. April, May, February, March, they had between 13 and 14 active listings. That I think what was going on in that neighborhood or in that condo complex is they had a big spike in their insurance rates. They got hit really hard, had an assessment, which it since has gone down. They've corrected that. So it's looking much better. So a lot of people were dumping those condos. Currently, right now for June and July, there are 8 active listings. Those are listed between $445,000 and $579,000, and that's 2 and 3 bedrooms. They have been on the market anywhere between 1 day, 244 days. 5 of those 8 have been on the market for over 3 months. So doing better.
News just in today. I think Jana said that because she's selling something in there, they're down to 2 active listings.
Yeah.
Jana? Oh, you're muted.
I think maybe I was just looking
At
at
least there's
the second floors. Yeah.
the second floor ones. I was gonna say because there's 8 active right now.
Okay.
In there.
Okay. So 2
But
with
that's
that.
lower than it has been. Yeah, 2 on the second floor because it has been 13 active, 14 active,
Okay.
5 under contract. So they're starting to finally move in that
Move, yeah.
neighborhood because previously we had a lot of actives, nothing under, very few sold. So now
You're sitting there.
it's shifting.
Yeah.
It's shifting. Of those 5 that are under contract, they're listed between $448,000 and $489,000.
Ooh.
And the 2 sales that we had were $485, listed for 72 days, and it sold for $14,000 under asking.
Wow.
And the other one sold for $530, was on the market for 91 days, and sold for $49,000 under asking.
Wow. Remember those were sneaking past 550, 560 there for a while?
Ticking up for a little bit. And obviously the 3rd bedrooms are generally the ones in the 5s, but every once in a while you see a 2-bedroom that is on the higher end for upgrades or if it happens to have a little bit of a view. And then lastly, we are going into, where are my numbers? Sorry, I'm on my laptop. Okay, June and July for Lokahi Makai, another neighborhood similar to Pualani Estates, but smaller, so less data. But currently there are 2, there are 2 active listings. I just scrolled again. Okay. There's 2 active. $899, been on the market for 58 days and had a $50,000 price reduction. The other one I'm sorry, there's 3 right now. What's happening with this?
I think the 899 one went off already.
Let me scroll up. Sorry, my cat was walking across my screen early and I think he messed up something. No, let me get back down. Okay, we're gonna do our best with this data that I have here. There are 3 sold. So one sold for 980,000, 0 days in the market, asking price was 900,000. Oh, I'm sorry, three sold. One's sold for 980,000. It sold at asking price, 0 days in the market. So that one went really quickly.
Wow.
Next one sold for 900,000. It was on the market for 161 days, and it sold for 89,000 under asking. And then the last one was on the market 30 days, sold for 1,115,000, and that went 60,000 under asking. So they were one of the few ones that was over $1 million. Again, that neighborhood, similar to Pualani Estates, had been creeping up to that million, over $1 million, and it's starting to creep down a little bit. There is one under contract right now, listed at 985,000, just came on the market.
I sent that to one of my people.
I know.
This
I'm
is
like,
a good
it's a
deal.
cute one. It's a good deal.
They
It's
got
under $1
great
million.
view.
Yes. And then the actives, yeah, there's 2, I think, 899 with a price reduction, and then 1,075,000 with a price reduction. I think those are the only 2. I got my data's doubled up here. But moral of the story is price well and sell quickly, or hang out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Be willing to be flexible.
Yeah. So get this. So Lance was unable to make it today on the call because he's doing some volunteer work in Honolulu. But I want to tell you guys, I did the statistics for what was going on in August, and I was actually surprised to find that the volume for condos has gone up to 70%. So all those condos you're saying going out of Olihilani and across Kona, people seem to have jumped back in because they were down 70% in May. So it looked like there was like a sale on condos or something. Everyone like dogpiled in on that. But the single family home right now median is 1.125, and condos are 576,250. And that's the median price is down 14% for condos and 8.64 for single family homes. And they're getting about 94% of asking. And then the number of sales for single family residents are down 34%, and for condos it's 16.67 compared to last year. So there you go. So it's interesting with the neighborhoods you're talking about, kind of goes with what's happening right now, is that I think there's opportunities to clear some of this, inventory of condos off the market. By the way, I have a 1-1 condo STVR. I just lowered the price to $589 at Leahy Villas. Please come and buy it. It's been on the market for quite some time. Would like to sell it. And then we've got another 1-1 that's relisted. It's what is it, Eric? 535 in Kona, in the Kohala Resort.
535.
Yeah, so if you're jumping on the let's buy a condo bandwagon for Kona, I've got two I'll sell you. So okay, so what's going on in South Kohala and North Kohala with Jana, and let's give you the stage here.
Okay, I also have a condo for sale in Waikoloa Resort. So we'll just start with Waikoloa Resort. How about that? Residential, there are 5 active listings. So my areas have a lot less residential. In the Waikoloa Resort, it's primarily condos. So there's just a few neighborhoods that have residential property. So Aina Malu has one that starts at 2.15, and of course Kolea Kai Circle, which is right on Ho'omalu Bay, is 11.995 for that oceanfront property. That's pretty spectacular. Average days on market is 182. And again, the luxury homes take a little bit longer to sell, so that's pretty normal. 2 sold in that area in July, and they were both at Puako. And one of them was a 2-bedroom, 977 square feet that sold for 1.211 in just 4 days on the market. And the other one was a 4-bedroom that sold for 5.5 million after 200 days. So, my averages don't mean anything, right? it's not a statistically valid information to tell you about averages because it's when you just have two. But, you know, I think you can say that, and both of these, strangely enough, were financed. There weren't any cash deals, which is what you normally see there.
Yeah.
In the Waikoloa Resort condos, there were 49 active listings, and I think we were in the 50s last month, so a few less. They range from 679,000 to Puako Beach Apartments, which most of Puako is, you know, residential, but there's one apartment down there those are pretty cool, up to a 3.59 for Kohala Villas. And the average is more like 1.49. That's a pretty good average for the Waikoloa Resort. Almost all of those are short-term vacation rental properties. And so that's pretty common. So mine is at the shores. It's a 1-bedroom and it's, you know, hard to show because I only had 3 days in the whole month of August that I could even show it because it's booked all the time. And that's pretty common when you're looking at a condo in the resort areas. You have to be a little bit flexible because they can't show when they have people that are renting, right? Days on market for the active listings is 118 days. And by the way, Julie and Eric made a video for my Shores condo that'll be on their YouTube pretty soon, right?
Yep. So if you want to see it, take a look.
In
And how much are you selling that condo for again, Jana?
520. Oh gosh, no, wait. That's the
Well,
house.
520, I'll get it.
No, I know, right? Sign me up. My gosh, 725.
725. Okay.
Yeah. And the house in that I have in Orchid Land is 525, and it's you know, pretty new. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. On 1 acre too, by the way. So back to Waikoloa Resort, the July sales, there were 3 condos that sold in July. One at Puako Beach Apartments for $648, one at Fairway Villas, $966, and one at Waikoloa Beach Villas for $1,038,000. So that's pretty typical, I would say. Not a lot of variation there. We have a pretty healthy absorption at under $1 million because, you know, the fastest sales are the more affordable condos.
Yeah.
And then the luxury.
Welcome to the island.
Yeah, it's always a little bit slower to move the luxury properties. But there are some opportunities under $1 million, but you got to act fast. You can't like drag your feet if you're wanting one of those. And about 1/3 I think 1/3 of those were cash. The other ones were financed. Waikoloa Village condos, there were 27 active listings across Waikoloa Village. 429 for Alimalani up to 825 for 17th Fairway. The average list price is right around 500.
Okay.
And days on market 107. So, you know, things are still.
Do you have how much are those on sale for now? 5% down.
Yeah, we had eight condos sold in Waikoloa Village. That's where I live in July. And sales prices were $379 in Waikoloa Hills to $740 in Waikoloa Villas. And let's see, median 445, days on market. Oh my gosh. So you had one that sold for 7 days at Alimalani and 359 days at Waikoloa Hills. So median of 65. It's like, again, it's hard to get meaningful information from a statistic if you've got not that many properties, and 8's not that many.
Yeah.
And the median price was 99.55%.
Wow.
Of the sale to the original price, not the current price. That was 99.77, I think. So they're not on sale. The condos are not in Waikoloa Village this month. So you had like of those 8, one was all cash, one was VA, and the rest were conventional.
Wow. Okay.
So that's what's happening in the condo market in Waikoloa Village. Maunalani condos. This is fun. This is a fun one because you've got 24 active listings and they start at 1.299 at Kulalani, but there's this really weird listing for 10,095,000 and it is pretty unique. It's basically they have an unfinished group of condos within the development that they're going to sell at Kulalani. And they're partially constructed and they're at different stages of construction. So it's really more of a development opportunity than it is a traditional condo sale, but it's probably a heck of a good deal if you had somebody who was interested in buying like a group of condos down there. And it's kind of an odd transaction. So basically $2 million and is the average. And I took out that $10 million one because that's too weird to include in the average.
Yeah.
So that's the average without that. Days on market is 135 days. Only 2 sold in Montalani in July. 1 Fairways for 1.4, Montalani Terrace for 2.5. The sales price to list is 94.5. So you have a little bit of a sale in Montalani where you didn't have at Waikoloa Village. So, most of the homes are selling within 2 to 3 months if they're priced well. Some of the more expensive ones are sitting for 300 days, right?
Yeah. In fact, I just looked at the statistics for South Kohala. For single family homes, the drop in volume was 58%. So it's slow.
Right. Well, okay, let's talk about that. Waikoloa Residential. So Waikoloa Residential is
Can I
uphill.
ask a question really quick? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Kulalani, wasn't there some kind of lawsuit going on in there for a little while? Is it still
Yes. Yes, it went on for quite some time. There was a lawsuit between the HOA and the builder because the builder didn't pay HOA fees during construction or something like that. And there might have been something else going on, but that has been settled. So for quite some time in Kulalani, you could only buy in that property if you had cash because no lenders would lend in there. So that's gone. And it really was unfair, I think, to the people who lived there because they were affected. Their prices were affected. They were effectively lowered because of a beef between the HOA and the builder, and they didn't have any control over that. But that is a done deal that's been settled, and it's not an effect anymore.
Do you think that's what that $10 million has something to do with that $10 million development opportunity?
Probably. I hate to say anything because I don't know what it is, but that could be the case if a developer ran out of money to finish the complex, and I don't know that that's what happened here because that's not what they're saying. They're not saying that at all. They're not saying anything. So, but that is something that would happen, and that would explain why maybe you weren't paying the HOA dues. I don't know, but yeah. It's a very strange and unusual situation that you don't see very often. To buy a group of unfinished condos at various stages of being finished. And
That's what happened?
That's for sale now. It's like 10.9 million right now.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the weird outlier that I took out of my statistics because it was throwing everything off.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a very good question, Nui, because that is an odd little deal. But the lawsuit no longer affects, like the people who are selling in Kulalani now are not affected by that lawsuit anymore. It's been settled.
Okay. Financing is fine.
Right. You can finance in there now. Okay, Waikoloa Residential, 37 single family homes, 742 to 1899. The sweet spot in Waikoloa is $1 million. Like if the average is $1 million, the median, that's what you sell. We had 5 homes that closed in July, and average sold price is right at $1 million. Average active price is right at $1 million. So you've got 114 days for the active, and for the sold, it was Oh, well, it went from 9 days to 119. So again, with only 5,
Mhm.
the average of 67 is a little meaningless. So the sales to list ratios were 98%. So again, Waikoloa Village is not on sale.
Yeah.
2%
You would
kind of
think with all those $1 million homes that the prices be coming down right about now. But
Yeah,
they're
no,
not,
no,
right? Okay. No,
it's
no
a
sale up
paltry.
there.
Yeah,
Okay. And then
yeah.
also, Jana, just will be, is your phone ringing yet? Do you
Yes,
people
yes,
looking?
yes. I've had people, that were interested, and yeah, I've been kind of busy all of a sudden. It's gotten a lot busier
Okay.
recently.
Okay.
So, I'd just say that $1 million is a sweet spot in Waikoloa Village right now.
Yeah.
You have some that are lower, and the ones that are lower, like I'm seeing some in the 700s, and they're just flying off the market. So they're kind of skewing the average down,
Uh-huh.
whereas you have some of the new construction that's 2 million bucks that those are just sitting there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, but if they're well priced, they're moving. Monolani Residential, there's only 7 for sale and 0 sold in July. And so you're going from like 4.1 million to 25 million. Those are oceanfront properties, and average days on market, again, 223 days.
Wow.
Those, that's the same old thing that we talk about every time. When the higher the price, the longer they seem to take to sell. So, I think buyers watch the market pretty carefully in that area. But one of a kind beach properties will sell.
Okay.
Kohala Ranch. So I looked at Kohala Ranch, Kohala by the Sea, Kohala Waterfront. Those are like the really luxury places that are on the Kohala coast. And there are only 8 active listings, and all of those are in Kohala Ranch. They're 2.1 to 5.5. And those are estate sale homes. So you've got like bigger square footage, like probably around 3,000 square feet. You've got parcels that are, minimum of 2 acres. There wasn't one of those properties that wasn't at least 2 acres, and one of them was 25 acres. So it's 4 to 5 months on the market is pretty standard up there. There was only one. Let's see. We had a property that closed for 5.575. It was all cash. It sold in 7 days over asking.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you've got a different flavor of luxury up in the Kohala Ranch, because the resorts have, short-term vacation rentals, and these are like big lots, sweeping ocean views, and it's kind of a different market up there. And then my last thing I pulled up real quick was Waimea. And we've got the dry side of Waimea and the wet side of Waimea, which are 2 different markets. The dry side is on the western side, and it's closer to the resorts. It's sunny. And the wet side is on the east side, kind of more towards Honoka'a. It's more rainfall and it's more lush. And so you see more farming going on there, more of the businesses that have, like, lots of farmers markets and things like that over there. It's pretty cool. And there's 22 active listings there. So they go from 550 to 6.6 million, with the average around 2 million. And of course, the less expensive side is probably the wet side. And so you got a lot of contrast up there. I just kind of wanted to
Well, at
point
least there was some inventory in Waimea. Forever there was nothing for sale up there.
There was nothing for sale up
Yeah,
there.
so that's
You've got the 2 private high schools up there. You've got, the shopping and the restaurants and the theater and all the stuff that
hospital.
and the hospital and the observatory. So you just have a lot going on in Waimea, and there was nothing for so long. People would say, I'm looking for something in Waimea, and it's like, there isn't it.
Yeah. So now if everyone's kind of looking, now it's time to, to see what's available up there. So
You got to buy something in Waikoloa Village and drive up there.
yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Okay. You done?
Yes.
Okay. So, let's go back to everybody. Okay. So, uh, Eric,
Yes, I'm here.
give me something that you're seeing out there. Kind of give them like a trend experience here in West Hawaii.
I'm seeing things, for the longest time it was it seems slow. I know you guys have all reflected this, that it seems to be that people are having a little more spring in their step and things seem to be kind of moving. They're looking and they're buying and they seem to be a little less shocked than they were 2 or 3 months ago. I guess the word shock is kind of coming off, and it's kind of like they're figuring out how to navigate in the new world that we have going on here.
Yeah, and I think that the interest, even though it's like, a lot of people are buying cash or whatever, I think across the board, I think when they think of interest rates are falling, it kind of makes people feel like things are getting better. And also with like houses under like $1 million, that these neighborhoods were inching up every year, to finally see them coming down to a point where, at least, I mean, I'm not saying that 1.1 million is affordable for everybody, but it gives people opportunities. I think that's a good opportunity right here for, especially in West Hawaii. Like, definitely it sounds across the whole island. In fact, I did some research on Hamakua. We have clients that are looking up there, that Hamakua is kind of on fire right now. Literally, they're having a drought in Hamakua, and they've actually had some wildfires. However, people are moving to, they're buying land and they're buying farms, and people are going to places where you can get away from people, and you can get some places where you can have acreage. And it's we spent 2 or 3 days up there showing property. It's beautiful in Hamakua. I wouldn't have actually thought that now that I got a chance to get off the freeway and go up and see the different houses and stuff, you can get a lot of land and some decent houses for not that much money. But then, of course, you live there. That's why I live in Kona, because I like a sunset with a Mai Tai.
So I think we should talk about the Roseanne Barr's property that's for sale up in the Hamakua coast.
Yeah.
46 acres, and it's a MacNut orchard, and it just went on sale for $1.95 million. And it has drawn a tremendous amount of interest on the property. So we have a client that could have been interested in it, but it was just so crazy of all the people that are coming out here to see this property. And it's the first, they priced it low. And what they're going to do is they're going to have everybody come to an open house, and then they're going to have all the bids come in and, all the offers come in after that and see where they stand on it. But they have people flying in from the mainland to come see this property. So it's kind of one of those, I haven't dealt with a celebrity sale before, but this is kind of interesting to watch what happens with it.
Yeah.
I have. They're a nightmare. I just live in Santa Barbara, so I've done deals there. They're kind of a nightmare.
Yeah. The oldest guy said that he was absolutely shocked at how many people were calling on that property.
Yeah, it's going to sell for way.
I think so. Yeah. And also, I heard that he doesn't live on our island, and so also you might not think how valuable that land is if you're thinking it's in the middle of nowhere on the Big Island of Hawaii, but people love it because people are looking for farms and they want land. So we'll see how that goes over asking on that one.
Yeah. If somebody's looking for that, but I know that it'll go way above his budget. I mean, I bet you that thing will sell close to, I don't know, I'm going to guess 10.
What?
You think so?
10 million?
It has a celebrity cachet to it. They all do, and they all.
Roseanne.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, that's the exciting part. We're going to find out where it goes for. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see what that number is.
Yeah. So, heading into the fall, as we look at what's happening with the stock market, which seems to be on a tear, and then also with the rates coming down a little bit and all that kind of stuff. Really quick, around the room, what do you guys think is going to happen for the rest of the year in terms of people buying houses here? Do you think we're going to see more of like flat, or do you think more of like interest? What do you guys think? Andy, what do you think, real quick?
I think it's going to improve. I think it's going to improve. We're seeing. I'm busy. I'm continuing to be busy. And so I think it's going to improve.
Okay, Nui. Okay, fine.
I agree. I think if the interest rates continue to go down, it would make sense that the market would pick up more. And we've been pretty steady as it is, but I think it'll pick up more. Yay! I think yay.
Yay. And then Jana, you're looking optimistic. Yeah.
I see more balance. it's been like a seller's market for so long, and now I'm feeling like it's more balanced. It's not a seller's market, it's not a buyer's market. It just feels like it's where it should be right now. That's what I'm seeing up here in Kohala.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like I would agree. It's not really, it's neither seller or buyer, and it's definitely more even now.
It's
for
kind of a
sure.
relief, when you're working with buyers now, to have it not be so obnoxious.
Yeah, you guys, I think that Delaney and Eric would agree on it's kind of a buyer's market in Kona.
I mean, yeah, and I think honestly, like a smart buyer would get in now or very soon because rates are a little bit down, but we don't have a frenzy. There's like you can still get in, you can negotiate. There's not that sense of like, oh, there's going to be 30 showings. Like I think there's a lull before if it really does kind of pick up again. And I feel like a lot of people try to tie things up before the end of the year. They like to get their, if they're going to buy something, they want to get it done before the year closes out. So as it starts to pick up and get busier, like I feel like there's a window to kind of jump in.
Yeah, and our slow season is September and October, so so it would make sense that this would start to change as we get closer to the new year.
There we go. Okay. And then Travis, to reiterate, you're getting people calling you thinking this is a good time to buy a house. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that continues to be the case. Yeah, and I agree that if rates continue to improve, I think that the units will continue to pick up.
Yeah. And since I gave you guys some real life information about condo sales really kicking in this month so far, now like Delania said, if you're looking for those deals, now's that time because there are sellers who have had their houses on the market for 3 or 4 months and they're getting a heck of a lot more motivated. And before a bunch of other buyers jump in, now is the time to make a deal. So, so if you're interested in contacting any of these wonderful human beings, let us know. We've basically covered the whole island. And so if you guys are looking for individual market updates, we've got Lance giving the North Kona market directly. He's going to be doing his on the 11th, and then we've got Nui who's going to be doing the East Hawaii market update, and we're still trying to get the date for that one.
You're
I
muted.
texted you earlier.
Okay, what is it?
Well, I don't know if you could do this date. I asked you for the 10th, but yeah.
The 10th.
So
Okay, we'll make it
let
work.
me know.
There we go. That way you guys can
Okay.
get information that's now 2 weeks past where we are now, so that gives you an idea of where the market's going. And then just again, if you want to know more about the different specific neighborhoods, we've been hearing people saying when you say words like, like Papaloa, I don't know where that is. These people are all neighborhood experts. So reach out. If you're interested in different parts of the island, they're definitely the ones to talk to you about. Like, if you're what's Poolco? It's like, well, then talk to Jana. So, so thank you guys all for lending your expertise and then to point Travis out. It was his birthday yesterday. Please call him and use him for your next mortgage because he can.
Also, just a little side note: Travis and Julie did a great video on the sort of the interest keys of getting a loan and what happens with that. So that's on this channel as well. So go check it out.
Yeah. In fact, we give Travis is the star on getting people information on the tricky part of gathering all of your documents and where to find them. So we're always trying to give you guys the best information on this channel. Thanks for joining us. So if you guys join the Ohana, go to 365hawaiire.com, and we will also have more people obviously providing great information as we move through the year. So don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell and contact us for your real estate and mortgage needs. And with that, we will say aloha.
Aloha.